we can't fake onboarding. It has to be real. It has to be consistent. Like if they hear me talking all about company culture, but then during the onboarding process or during their first week, they see no signs of that, that's a problem. So that is when you have an employee that quits after maybe it's 30 days, maybe it's after 2 years, but it's all because of week one. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Built Different podcast brought to you by Tilghman Builders. My name's Eric Tilghman, the CEO of Tilghman Builders. On this podcast episode, we're going to be talking about mainly onboarding and retention. So people leave companies all the time, and we think that it's for certain reasons. We think that maybe the pay isn't enough, or they whatever it may be, right? But oftentimes, the reason people leave companies is actually a result of day one, or more importantly, of the interview process. And in my opinion, more importantly, the onboarding process. We are not perfect at our onboarding process, but we have systematized it, and we do know some things that are very, very important. First and foremost, the interview process it's important to talk about who you are. We talk a lot about company culture, and we talk about, just the things that are important to us. We ask questions about how they might make decisions, or, things like that. And so company culture is kind of brought up immediately. I want to weed out anybody that may not be a good fit. If you're the wrong type of person for our company, and more importantly, our company's culture, if I don't detect that in the interview process, or JP or Phil or whoever it may be in interviewing that person, the person will identify that in themselves. And they kind of almost want to save themselves the embarrassment of joining a team that is too dissimilar from themselves, right? They're going to find me out eventually. I better not go any further, right? Like if you're a person with a big ego, and you hear what I have to say about company culture and sort of ego death in our company, right? Where there are no inflated egos, that'll make you nervous, and you'll probably, end up letting that fizzle out, So anyhow, Once an employee is vetted, they're brought in. They're brought in for onboarding, right? Onboarding, they just went from an interview with me or with JP where we talk about company culture, and we talk about growth, and we talk about their goals, and we get to know the person. Okay, well, now once we like the person and we decide we're going to hire them, that's when we bring them in for onboarding, right? So onboarding, now we get into the nuts and the bolts, right? Here's when your performance reviews are going to be. Here's your success ladder. This is where you're starting. This is what you'll need to do to climb the ladder. And day one, here's your expectations for day one. We have it all typed out. We have many documents. There's a letter that every employee gets that I wrote personally, just thanking them, kind of letting them know. I say some goofy stuff in there, like your life is about to change, because it is. I truly, honestly believe that, we change people's lives for the better. And I think that, all of our employees would agree. We had the holiday party just over the weekend, so two or 3 days ago, and it was incredible. There were 55 people in the room, and man, everybody loves each other. It was a really amazing moment for me, because it was a milestone, not one that I was shooting for, but I sat back in my chair and I looked around the room, and everybody's just laughing, having fun. It was incredible. And a lot of the new guys coming that have just recently joined our team, there's about 5 new guys on our team right now. I'm no longer part of the hiring process, and so I never got a chance to meet them. But each one of them, a few of them said directly to me, like, this is incredible. I'm just waiting to wake up. This all seems like just a good dream. Kind of confused by how real this is, what we've built. And then the others, they just kind of showed me, They showed me that they love it here. They've already got strong friendships and relationships. And anyway, it's just an incredible thing that we've built. And so anyhow, when somebody first comes in to our company, they go to this onboarding meeting with JP and Al, and they figure out all the nuts and bolts of how things work. But then they get all these documents and things like that. But then they get sent out to the field, right, for the first day or their first week. Well, we intentionally pair them with, hopefully in a skill set that they are strong at. Right. So if they're strong at finish work, we put them in a kitchen, or if they're strong with framing, we put them on an addition, if we can. But regardless, we always want to pair that new person with somebody who is similar to them. So all 7 of our lead carpenters, they're all great in their own way. They're all polite. They're all driven. They're all organized. They're all the things you need to be, but everybody is different. So we put them with somebody who is like-minded, or they have similar interests. And then, our lead carpenters, they're trained. They know, like, look, this is like important stuff. Like, we need them to feel excellent their first week. But not only do we need them to feel kind of warm and fuzzy, we need them to just see how driven we are as a team. We need them to see everybody showing up on time. We need them to see, when something does go wrong, how that's handled. Typically, it's not with the new guy, right? I don't know if we correct a new guy on his first day, right? It's kind of just you're feeling them out. But maybe one of the other carpenters makes a mistake, and so now the leads get an opportunity to show. This is what that looks like, right? Like, this isn't a big, abrupt explosion situation. This is one brother talking to another brother. And that's kind of how it is here. So anyway, onboarding is a really important thing. It kind of reminds me of like when you first arrive at like a resort, right? Like, and they give you the special treatment, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Tilghman. I'm so glad that you've chosen our hotel, blah, 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 and then, some guy takes you around the resort, and he's very personable, and he shows you where you get your towels and where you get your food and all the things. That's onboarding. They're onboarding me into their resort. But then I go out in the resort, right? Then I go out into the resort. I get my pool towel. We get a drink, or we get some food, or whatever it is. And everybody's very nice. Everybody in the resort is exactly like the guy that just walked me around. Now that's important. So we can't fake onboarding. It has to be real. It has to be consistent. Like if they hear me talking all about company culture, but then during the onboarding process or during their first week, they see no signs of that, that's a problem. So that is when you have an employee that quits after maybe it's 30 days, maybe it's after 2 years, but it's all because of week 1. It's all because of week 1. There was an incongruency there between what you said it would be and what it actually was. So now not only are they disappointed that the culture's not as strong as you said it would be, but now they know that you're not a man of your word. And that's a bigger problem. So lots of things can go wrong with onboarding. Let's see what else we got here. So, during the first 90 days, right, an employee is going to be, they're going to be asking themselves these questions, right? They're going to be saying, do I belong here? Can I succeed here? Right. So is there a ceiling? Like, do I have a future here? Right. Or am I going to be just moving lumber my whole life? So that's a big part of our onboarding. We hand them a packet. We call it our success ladder, but what it is it is a list of titles, right? So everything from apprentice carpenter through carpenter 1, carpenter 2, carpenter 3, lead carpenter. We have the same thing for the estimators. We have the same thing for anybody in an operations role in here, like a project manager. And so we make sure that everybody knows like what they could shoot for. And we have dollar amounts next to all of it. So somebody may come in and have, they're coming in as an apprentice. Well, they know that they're being paid from this amount to this amount, right? an apprentice, that's their title. It's in their email signature. They know what their title is, and so does everybody else, right? Carpenter 2, Carpenter 3. This document that every employee is given, it has the dollar amount written right on it for everybody. So although nobody knows exactly how much everybody's getting paid, that document gives you a range, right? Like Carpenter 2 is, I forget what it is. I think it's 24 to 27, something like that. So, well, doesn't matter. If somebody's a Carpenter 1 and they see that this guy's a Carpenter 2, it's all over his emails and it's on the website. They might look at that and say, hey, I'm sizing up next to Fred, and so he'll bring it to our attention. He'll come in, and then we evaluate that employee and we evaluate the other employee. But it holds them to a certain standard, or it holds them accountable, right? They said they had this much skill coming in. Well, we'll see, and we'll get feedback on that, because everybody on the whole crew will know what skill you claim to have had. But it also, more importantly, holds us accountable, right? They can come to us with things that are easily identifiable, right? It's a list of skills that they can achieve, that they can do, right? I have these skills and they're written on the paper that I should be making more money. So then we evaluate the situation then as well. So anyway, little side tangent, but that's our success ladder. And I believe that's a big part of onboarding and retention. Culture. Yeah, we're going to all be nice. Good. There's many offshoots to this. And one of them that's really important is letting the employee know exactly where he can go, like showing him the ceiling, and then letting him know, hey, by the way, after this packet of paper, like this is the carpentry success ladder, there's a whole nother part of this business that we hope that you would be interested in growing into. We'll share those documents with you later, right? So anyway, that's a super duper side tangent. Do these people care if I succeed? So that's a good one, because not only do we care from their onboarding meeting or from their interview or from their first week. I mean, we don't actually frame it like we want you to succeed. We literally, in this company, we say we need you to succeed. We need it. I want you to love your job, and succeeding as a person and just developing, growing into your best potential. That is so important to me, because you're not going to love your job if that's not happening, right? Or at least the type of caliber person that we're looking for, they would not be fulfilled. You have to continue to grow. And so that's one reason, I need you to love your job. And so I need you to grow. But the other reason is because I'm committed to growing this business, right? And what we love to do more than anything, and what we've had most success doing, is promoting from within. So if we need to hire a new estimator, the first thing I do is I send an email out to the team. Hey, anybody interested in an estimating position? And that's just the way that we do things. And I hope that person has grown enough, if they are interested in the position, that they're grown enough where they could fill that position nicely, and where that would be a good fit for them. And we've had some instances where people have signed up for positions like that. And then I have to politely let them know, like, look, I love you, man, and my job is to put you in a position for you to succeed. That's not the position for you. Like, I know you, and I also know the position. I think you're doing great. But let's look if there's something else for you, And so that's a big part of it too, Let's see. Onboarding, it creates buy-in, not just compliance. 100%. You can train skills later. You can't train buy-in later. So this is a time where they need to be excited. That first week is very, very important. When onboarding, onboarding explains why our company exists, how decisions are made, what winning looks like, how growth happens, right? So we're trying our best to explain all this to the person. Retention isn't isn't HR. It's leadership. A lot of owners say, I love this, we just can't find good help, right? We just can't find good people, or once we get them, they go. once they learn a certain amount, they go and start their own business. I'm telling you, you're going to hear this a lot. I literally tell all of our team members, I want you to grow. I want you to learn as much as you possibly can. I want you to become a great leader. I want to put you in a leadership position. I want you to be a leader in this company for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it may be. I want you to move into project management, whatever the thing is, right? I want you to keep on going because you're going to be a key player. And then if you want to start your own business, I want you to quit, and I want you to start your own business. And then I'll have a lifelong friend that I get to congratulate, and I also get to now bounce things off of, right? So now you're a business owner who I have a great relationship with. So now I have like kind of a lifelong friend or mentor, and so we're very open with that about that with our employees. I tell them, I want you to grow so much that you outgrow the company and you quit. So a little bit different, but I mean it. I actually really mean it, because the time that they are a great leader, they'll be a major contributor to our company. So who am I to clip the wings of anybody? I don't believe in that. I think there's plenty to go around. And I started down this path literally because I just wanted to see guys, seek their potential and then meet their potential, and it's not easy, but it is fun. And I think everybody should be doing that. So we can't find good people. What that really means is we don't have the systems to support good people, right? So people get frustrated. They don't want, employees want some level of security. They want to know that their future is like that they will have a good future in the place that they are working. And if they see messiness, if they see that you're disorganized, if they see arguing, fighting, gossiping, these types of things, those types of things are no go. But there's the other things, right? There's the, hey, I'll call you back later on, right? And then that person doesn't call them back. So they want to see commitment. They want to see accountability, things like that. So we don't have the systems to support good people. That's really what they're saying. Onboarding is, let's see. Segments. Let's see here. So practical takeaways. So this is what I would say. First off, if you don't have a good culture, you got to work on the culture, right? We got to get that right. We got to get people evangelical about our cause. If you don't have a cause, you got to find a cause. If they got to be excited about the vision. If they don't have a vision, it's because you haven't told them your vision. And if you don't have a vision, that's a real problem. Every owner or every CEO or every visionary needs to have a vision. And then the worst thing you can do is keep that vision to yourself. I've been sharing my vision for years. And you know what? Before that vision came true, it was probably laughable, because you do kind of look a little crazy before it happens. But then once it happens, it's there. So anyway, sharing the vision is very, very important. So if you don't have a culture, we'll talk about that in another episode. This is all ways to kind of get closer to a positive company culture. This episode's all about onboarding, but there's a lot of levels to it. And, first and foremost, like if you don't love your employees, like to your core, well, that's step one. Find reasons to be grateful for your employees and start loving them now. Definitely. And then over time, you'll treat them a little bit different, and then they'll treat you a little bit different, and then they'll perform a little bit better, and then you'll be even more grateful. And then it's just, it's like a healthy marriage, So Start now. So takeaways, slow onboarding down, just slow it down. Don't be like calling them on Friday, hoping they can start on Monday. If they can, that's a problem. And if you need them to, that's an alarm bell to that new employee. Systematize the experience. Every hire should get the same cultural foundation regardless of their role. 100%. 100%. Treat onboarding like an investment. Yes, because every dollar and hour spent onboarding saves you 10 in turnover. 100%. So onboarding is where retention is decided, not when someone quits, not during exit interviews, not when morale dips. It's decided in the first few weeks when someone is quietly deciding, right? Is this where I want to be? If you want a team that stays, grows, and cares, onboarding is not optional. It's foundational. Culture is not built in speeches. Oh, this is good. It's built in systems, starting with onboarding. Okay, so I'm going to close this out. But like I said, we had our winter party over the weekend, and I was talking to one of our team members, his wife, and I were talking about culture, and she was saying how impressive it was to be around her husband. Joe is his name, and she was saying how much the culture has helped Joe and changed his life, and in turn changed their life. And Joe is working up the ladder quick. I'll tell you that. Joe's a killer. He'll be on the podcast one day, but. We were talking about culture, and all night everybody was kind of talking about culture because it was just undeniable. It was just like, look at this. Like I remember at one point looking over at JP and we didn't even say anything. We just looked at each other and we were just like, man, like this is just like, we didn't say anything, but we both knew what each other was feeling. So it was great. But I was talking to his wife and I was saying culture, culture. We always talk about culture. Basically asked her, we were both kind of wondering, what is culture, right? And like, I've been kind of thinking about that. Like, what is it? Like, I've been saying it a lot lately, especially because of this podcast. And, what I said to her that night, I said, she was complimenting us on our culture and said how much it had changed Joe's life and their life. Right. And, anyhow, I just kind of blurted out, and I've been kind of saying it ever since. I was on a leadership meeting earlier today, where I kind of said, like, culture is nothing more than just a bunch of relationships, and each person that's involved in those relationships is showing up in a way to preserve those good relationships, right? So, it's literally just that, right? Now, there's a lot of ways that we show up to make the relationship strong, and then there's a lot of ways that we show up to keep the relationship strong, but that's essentially all this is. It's just a bunch of people that enjoy being around each other. So now you got to hire the right people, and you can't ever mess it up, right? You can't ever lie just once, right? Like you don't get that opportunity. You don't get that in life. Like you can't lie once. Like you can't. Like, all right, like that relationship is ruined. You might as well walk away. So anyhow, like I use this as an example. Me and my father-in-law. I have a great relationship with my father-in-law, and I feel very, very lucky. Because many people don't, but I literally enjoy being around my wife's dad. I really, really like him. We have fun. I can be myself. He likes me too. And he is always himself. But neither one of us questions that. Like, I know he likes me and he knows I like him. Like, we genuinely enjoy each other's company. Anyway, shout out to Joe Dad. What's up, Joe Dad? We have a culture. He and I have a culture that we call it a relationship, right? Or a friendship, but we maintain that. Like he and I would do anything to not mess that up. Like I would never lie to him, right? Like I would never be disrespectful. Things like that. Like, both of us show up the same way every time, and we have fun. But we always make sure that we don't mess that up, right? Whatever it is. If my father-in-law calls me, I always call him back, right? Like, I don't want to mess that up. So anyway, that's kind of like all what I've been thinking about culture. It's just nothing different than just a bunch of relationships, so we'll get into, kind of how you establish company culture. You gotta build the relationship, and then you gotta maintain it. So two different things. But today we kind of talked about how you grow the relationship, and it starts with onboarding. And I'm telling you right now, the people that were at this Christmas party, they were blown away. And again, they were just waiting to wake up from this dream. They can't even believe it. So I'm grateful. I'm thankful for all of you guys for staying tuned. I hope somebody out there is interested in this topic, but I'm just going to kind of keep banging this drum. I've been banging it for years. It's changed our business, and I hope that it changes yours too. So thanks for staying tuned. As always, stay positive, be nice, and step out of your comfort zone. Bye.